Good afternoon, friends. Welcome to this webinar on how to be a successful hydroponic grower. Friends, in my 26 years of commercial high-tech farming journey, I have realized that the right know-how is not easily available to the potential and existing growers. When commercial interest supersedes the technical requirements, the failures are bound to happen. But we have decided to make this change. We want to change this by spreading the right education to masses. This webinar is the first in the series. We will be conducting similar webinar at regular intervals. Friends, I am Rajiv Kumar Roy, founder and chairman of Agriplast Protected Cultivation, the specialist in designing projects, building greenhouses, including hydroponics. I am also the founder and managing director of Agriplast Tech India Private Limited, the specialist in plasticulture application, greenhouse films, and we are officially the representative of Vinegar Plastic Products Limited in India. I'm very happy to inform that last about 3 years back, Vinegar acquired 25% equity in our company. I'm very happy and proud to introduce our speaker of the day, Mr. Vimal Kaul, who has got 40 plus years of experience in the commercial farming. And there is one thing very unique about it, and you will realize it during the course of webinar, that he is capable of making the very complex subject and convey it in a very, very easy form to use so that you can understand it very easily. Then we have on the panel Mr. Abhishek Bhatt, who is a BTech mechanical engineer. He is the director in Agriplast Protected Cultivation. He himself is a farmer. And besides a mechanical engineering degree, and doing the farming, he is spearheading the project of bringing success stories to India. We have Mr. Ashish. He is our AVP Sales and Marketing, Ashish Anand, and he has got extensive experience in international business and project designing. He is also an engineer by education. And then we have Bhuvnesh on the panel. Bhuvnesh is an expert on automation, greenhouse automation, and he has done some complex automation projects in greenhouse and irrigation. So friends, it has been my dream to bring about all kind of technology into India so that our growers get benefited. To take this webinar further, I will now invite Mr. Vimal Kaul. And just one thing before he starts, I would like to tell you that at the end of the discussion, we will have the Q&A and where all the panelists will be answering your questions. And besides this, there are 3 polls in between. I request you to participate in the poll so that we understand that how you understand and what you want in the coming webinar series and what topics you want us to cover. So thank you so much for the overwhelming response. We have got 1300 plus registrations. In case you or your friend do not get a chance to get an entry into the webinar, you can tell them that this is live right now coming on our Facebook page of Agriplast Protected Cultivation. If you go to Facebook and type Agriplast Protected Cultivation, you will get there. Or it is also coming live on Agriplast Tech India Private Limited. So with this, over to Mr. Kaul. Thank you so much. Enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Rajiv. And welcome to all. Let me start this webinar by sharing something very special and very important with all of you. You know, for the last so many days, me and my team has been working practically round the clock, going through each and every question that we have received from you people and trying to finalize a content meant for this webinar. This process continued till 10 in the morning as the registrations went beyond 1200. Practically, we could find answers to each and every question that you have asked. But then there was one very tough question for us to answer. And this question was sent to me by one gentleman from Mumbai. And the question was, sir, which book I should read to learn hydroponics? My team thought it's a very simple question. And they asked me, sir, which book we should recommend? It took me a couple of hours to decide which book I should recommend. I gave it a very deep thought. And ultimately, I thought I should recommend this gentleman the same book that helped me to learn hydroponics. And now, let the benefit of everyone, let me disclose the title of that book. And the title is 12th Standard Biology Book. Maybe some of me get surprised to hear about the title of the book, but trust me, this book is enough to do hydroponics. With my 40-year hardcore experience in commercial agriculture, I'm very sure and certain that success of a hydroponic unit does not depend on hydroponic technology only. The 70% of the success comes from your horticultural skills and just 30% from your hydroponic skills or hydroponic technology. So my first suggestion to all newcomers, please, for God's sake, don't follow hydroponic technology blindly. With the invasion of YouTube in our life, and with the mushrooming of some inexperienced equipment sellers, we have been made to believe that it is equipment that makes a plant to grow. But unfortunately, it's not true. Best of the plants and most healthiest plants that we see are in forest. And these are there not because of any equipment, but purely because of the environment. So my second suggestion to everyone is learn the art of operating a system rather than creating a system. Hydroponics is basically nothing else than a delivery system. We'll get into the details. But let me once again tell you, I am Vimal Kaul. Sounds very typical now at this stage to introduce myself once again. Rajiv ji, just a couple of minutes back, he introduced me. My name is now mostly known to you because it's in circulation for the last 1 week when we started promoting our webinar on the internet. But there is a missing link. And I just want to clear that. That's why, with your permission, I would like to introduce myself once again. I am Vimal Kaul and I have no agricultural qualification. So don't consider some big scientist or somebody very highly qualified from the agriculture is speaking to you. My only qualification is that I am into the commercial agriculture for the last 40 years. But trust me, if you stay with the webinar, stay focused, stay till end, you'll go with 4 things from this webinar. First is a perfect mindset that will help you to enter in this activity. The second one, a perfect direction to start a hydroponic project. And once in the business, how to manage basics. And once into the business, how to sustain the business. So please stay focused. Let's move to the main presentation now. So gentlemen, once again, welcome to this presentation of mine. Let me first of all tell you the sequence of topics that I and my team have selected for this webinar, keeping in mind all your questions that were sent by you. So the sequence will be: number 1, understanding horticultural skills and how to sharpen these. Second is what is hydroponics and its basics. Third, the hydroponic setups. And fourth, layout of a hydroponic farm. Fifth is how to assess the economics of a farm. Sixth is basics of fertigation and recipe making. Most sought question that I was asked was about the fertigation and the recipe making, and I have taken care of it. Then the 7th one is how to manage root zone in hydroponics. 8th is the instruments for hydroponics. And as Rajivji told you already, last of all, we'll be having a question and answer session wherein all the panelists will be there to reply your questions. So let's move to the title. How to become a successful hydroponic grower. As the title goes, It's all about the success. And to be successful, we need to know what success means in agriculture. For the last so many years, I have been into the activity. I have been into greenhouse management. I have been into floriculture, agriculture. I have been into aromatic plants, medicinal plants, hops, and essential oils. Throughout, I've tried my level best to find a point so that I can consider that this means success in agriculture. But unfortunately, whenever I come to the conclusion, couple of days, and it becomes something very obsolete. So let's firstly know what the success means. Just a couple of days back, on 23rd of this month, one of my friends, Mr. Amit, posted this message on one of the WhatsApp groups that we are sharing, he and me too. This message said that a very interesting, and let me quote exactly what he has written, a very interesting and motivating information. A polyhouse grower in Himachal have an ideal climatic conditions has taken 10 kgs plus per plant yield of English cucumber. His plants are 9 months old and still producing. Amazing. Getting more information and pics to share soon. I'm very sure very soon he will share some beautiful pics of this place, of this farmhouse as well. This to me is a very nice and very big achievement, almost there at the international standard. But there is something more in this post that meets the eye. Here, the climatic conditions of the place are being given the credit for this achievement. I simply don't agree. If it's purely because of the climate, then all the farmers around this particular farmer must have produced the same yield. But that's not true. That's not true, because since climatic conditions are same, if it's a result of those climatic conditions, then all other farmers should have produced the same quantity of cucumbers, but they have not. It's purely into do climatic conditions do play a very important role, but it's purely and purely the effort that matters. The effort to manage climatic conditions is that what matters. So even if for a second we give credit to the climatic conditions, let's move forward. Let's move forward and see what has actually happened in the industry till date. Let me tell you something very, my total perception about the industry as on date. This industry has been divided into 3 groups. The first group is the people who are successfully doing it. The second group is who could not do it successfully, could not sustain for a long time. And then the third group is that who started and just collapsed. My dear friends, these 3 groups that you are seeing right now on the screen are the central one. The name of this chap is Jatin, and I'm very sure that he is on the webinar right now. Jatin is an BTech. He was working with private sector. Just a couple of years back, he left the job and joined back his business, farming business at his hometown, Hoshiarpur, Punjab. The Himachal grower, what Himachal grower is producing because of the climatic conditions, this boy is doing the same thing for the last 2 years in Hoshiarpur, where the conditions are adverse. And how about the farmers who are around him? They have not been able to achieve even the 50% of what this chap has done. So imagine when I asked Jatin, what is the reason? How did you manage it? He said, sir, good training and good equipment has helped me to do it. Then there is another category of the people who just could not manage, who just could not do and collapsed in between. When I asked them, what is the problem? They said, sir, our equipment was good, but our training was very poor. So we could not manage the technology. Then came the third category. Those are the people who somehow managed to start the activity, were not financially so sound to sustain for a long period and collapsed in between. And then something very tragic started happening. My dear friends, if you intend to get into this industry, these three categories are there. Straight away, let me tell you, these three categories are there and it's all your choice to be one of them. And I know all of us would like to be in the category wherein Jitin has come up. So this webinar, the content has been designed in such a way so that I can put you in a direction that will ultimately land in this category. God forbid, not another two categories, but I can only show you the path. The implementation has to be from your side. Then, as I told you, that the 70% success of an hydroponic project comes from the horticultural skills. Please note it. And only 30% comes from the hydroponic skills. And where from, what comprises these horticultural skills? These are greenhouse environment control, water quality, your knowledge about disease and pest control, your knowledge about the crop culture. And then comes the hydroponic skills. Your hydroponic setup, your hydroponic layout, your hydroponic technology, what you know about it or what you don't know. It's secondary. The primary thing is that 70%. And if you want to be successful in this activity, put your focus on this 70%, not on the rest 30%, which is normally being propagated by most of the people that it's a technology-driven activity. It is not. Technology is important, but this technology is to be managed. Human intervention cannot be taken out, at least for the time being in our country, out of this technology. So let me tell you what horticultural skills you should develop and how to develop those, how to sharpen these. It may take some time. I understand. It may take some time. But unless you sharpen these skills, nothing is going to happen. Now let's ask a question to our own selves. How plants grow? Most of us, we know how plants grow. But when you go into the technicalities of it, we don't know how plants grow. For us, plant means roots, fruits, flowers, leaves, stem. Because these are visible to the naked eye. But there is something else in the plant that's not visible to the naked eye. And my dear friends, that are small holes on the stems and on leaves of the plant. These small holes open and close as per the requirement of the plant. And it is these small holes known as stomatas that make plant absorb carbon dioxide from the air and simultaneously make it release water in the form of water vapor back into the air. Please know it. These things are not visible. You need to develop the art. Whether plant stomatas are open or closed, you need to develop an art. Because the life and death of a plant depends on opening and closing of stomata. You need to draw a line in between the science. I am with science. But we are entrepreneurs. We are not going to be the scientists. We are entrepreneurs. We need to draw a line between applied science and Newton's science. With due respect to Newton and all other scientists. Very consciously, I'm telling you, we should not follow that science. We are not for that. We are entrepreneurs. We need to know the applied science. We need to know the science in most simple manner so that its application in the farm is simple and straight. And for that 12th standard biology book, take it from me, is sufficient. Then comes another thing. What affects plant growth? What affects the plant growth? You see certain plants growing well, certain plants not doing well. What actually affects their growth? There are three basic factors that affect the plant growth. And these are good environment, good food, and good water. And when it comes to good food and good water, it's very straight and simple. But when it comes to good environment, what does it mean for a hydroponic grower? Good environment for a hydroponic grower means delivering to the plant best possible growing conditions, both to aerial part and to root zone. You need to deliver best possible growing conditions to your plants, whether these are in hydroponic setup or these are inside the greenhouse. It's your job. It's the job of an hydroponic grower or a greenhouse operator to provide them with best possible growing conditions. So my dear friends, the The first horticultural skill that you need to know, need to learn, that you need to sharpen, is how to control greenhouse environment. It's of prime importance. Without it, you cannot do hydroponics. Then we need to know about the plant physiology, basics, no Newton science, basics. You know, there are 3 basic processes involved in the growth of a plant. These are plant photosynthesis, plant transpiration, and plant respiration. Without these 3 basic processes, no plant can grow. It's not possible. But what happens? Hydroponic takes care of none of these. Hydroponic has nothing to do with basic plant physiology. So what does then hydroponic do? It's a big question. And the answer is, hydroponic is just a delivery system through which water and nutrients can be provided to the root zone of a plant in a very efficient manner. That's all. Nothing beyond that. Rest everything you will have to do. Let me explain it in a very simple way. All of us here know about a company by the name Swiggy. What does Swiggy do? They just deliver food from a producer to a consumer. That is all, nothing beyond that. If producer is good, if he is producing good food, they will collect it and give it to the consumer. If food is not good, Swiggy is not responsible. Swiggy is responsible for the delivery only. So try to understand the concept. If you hydroponic is a delivery system, this delivery system will make you deliver good food to the plant. But who is going to prepare this good food? You, not the delivery system. Swiggy has nothing to do with the quality of the food. You order, if it is good, it is bad, it's your responsibility. And when it comes to the plants, it's purely and purely your responsibility to know what plants need by way of food, by way of water, by way of environment. And then only you can ask the system to deliver it in the most efficient manner to the plant. That is hydroponics. So my dear friends, the second horticultural skill you need to understand and you need to learn, you need to sharpen is basics of plant physiology. And trust me, this 12th standard book is sufficient to make you understand it. Don't try to be the scientist. Be the scientist of your farm. Don't try to be scientist. Try to be the scientist of your system. Try to be the scientist of your environment. Try to be the scientist of your own self. Compete with your own self rather than competing with anybody else. The best way to improve in agriculture is to improve with your own self, to compete with your own self. So after plant physiology, the second most segment in hydroponics is water quality parameters. If hydroponics means working with water, if you don't have knowledge about the water quality, you just cannot do hydroponics. And knowing the water quality is no rocket science. It can be done very, very easily. Anybody can do it. You need not to have some high-tech qualification to determine the water quality. Then how it can be done? There are 3 basic parameters of water quality. These are the physical, biological, and chemical. What does physical mean? That is appearance, simple appearance. How does water look to your eyes? कैसा दिखता है आपको पानी? गंदा है या अच्छा है? Then second one comes the biological. It should be free of any infection. It should be free of any pathogen. And then the third, the most important, is a detailed chemical laboratory test report. With the help of this report, you should know what good or what bad salts are there in the water. And this report should be done from a reliable laboratory. Please note. Don't get it tested from these ordinary people. Let me tell you this thing. There's a filmy song that Isharon ko agar samjho to raaz ko raaz hi rehne do. Most of the labs are not doing good tests, proper tests. There are very limited labs. These may be a bit expensive, but if you want to do hydroponics, if you want to get your water tested, get it done from a reliable lab. And now let me tell you how you can arrive at a shortcut to water quality. See, water quality standards are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just make a note of it in your mind. That water standard number 1, that water which has EC less than 0.5, sodium content less than 35, and chloride content less than 53 ppm is considered to be the standard one. And rest of the standards and details are there on your screen. This is what standard 2, standard 3, standard 4. Now, what does standard 1 mean for us? Standard 1 means water quality. This water quality is suitable for most of the crops. So if you intend to do hydroponic, your water quality should match these norms. Then comes the second one, the intermediate quality. This quality is not suitable for crops that has limited root volume. Simple words. Wherein plants don't, those plants, wherein these don't have much of an root space, like hydroponics, like pot plants, this water quality cannot be used there. And in case you have this type of water quality, you need to repair it, you need to put an RO or anything you need to put to make it suitable for the plants. It should match the standard 1. Then comes the standard 3. This water quality is practically, if you ask me personally, it's not good. It's not good. But still, there are certain crops which are less salt sensitive. You can try it over there, but not at least if you're doing soil cultivation, fine, but not at least in hydroponic. And the last one is, if you see this quality at your sites or at your farm, run away. Don't dare to touch this water. If you still go with your projects and having this type of water quality, you will end up in that category which nobody wants to get in. So don't commit any errors in the basics when you plan to go for an hydroponic project. So the third horticultural skill that you need to master is the water quality. Very simple thing to remember. You can just find out from this slide how you should conduct the water quality test, or how you should develop your opinion about which water is good, which water is suitable for my site and which is not. Then the another skill, that is control of insects and pests. I know it is little tough. It needs some sort of an experience. It needs skill as well. It needs good knowledge about certain basic things. And when I talk about this skill, I don't mean you to be the doctors of your farms. No, there are so many experts available. They can help you out then. But you need to know the process and procedure, how to master this skill. So the pic right now you see on your slide, this is a pic from one of the farms, NFT farms. In NCR, don't be under this impression it is from outside the country. No, it's purely within the country, within NCR. And I'm very sure every NFT grower would like to have this type of a farm at his place. And it's possible. It's possible. But remember, it takes hardly any time for a dream to get converted into a nightmare. Pests and diseases, the moment they attack, these can be simply devastating and game over. If you don't control these in time, it's gone. You just cannot. They get beyond control and then it is impossible to survive. So develop the art of identifying these diseases and pests at an early stage. I, out of my own experience, has devised a methodology that I'm going to disclose right now. Please stick to it. This will help you in mastering this art. You can improve it. This is not something scientific I have done. This is purely my way of doing it. You can improve upon it. But let me tell you, this methodology is a good base for you to start with mastering this skill. Focus on this pig. There's a story behind this pig. In this pig, you see a very healthy plant, healthy leaves, good color, but you see insects also on it. These are aphids. These insects are known as aphids. Now, let me tell you the story behind this pig. The story is these insects are aphids, the crop is capsicum, the cultivation system is hydroponics, and the structure and the greenhouse is glass house with full automation. This is possibly the best we have in the country right now. And still pests are there. If it is possible to stop pests with the help of equipment, with the help of these glass houses, then how do these appear in this pig? Where from they have come? Gentlemen, insects and diseases does not necessarily mean these come from outside. Poor environmental control and poor sanitation can develop these within the greenhouse. So don't be under this impression that you have put best of the structures and that's going to take care of insects and pests. No, that is not possible. You have to learn the art if you want to get into the activity. Now let's move to the next pig. Another crop, strawberry. Same story. It's with disease. The the previous one was with the insect. This one is with disease. Crop is strawberry. Cultivation system again, remember hydroponic. And structure, glass house with automation, full automation. Then if equipment makes a plant to grow, why disease? What's the problem? Where does the problem lie? The problem lies in our minds, because when we put equipment, we are always under this impression that equipment is going to take care of it. No, not at all. It's you who have to run that equipment, and it's a tool. You need to run it to make it capable of taking care of so many things that it's supposed to take. Purely and purely, if you leave things to the equipment, nothing is going to happen. Now let's come to the methodology that I was, previous to these two slides, I was talking about. As a newcomer, what you should do? You know your crop. Which crop I am growing? Suppose tomorrow you intend to grow cucumbers. Take a notebook and write down, this is my crop, say cucumber. Then from internet, from books, from any expert, try to find out what are the possible diseases and insects that can attack this crop. Make a note. Remember, all insects, all diseases does not attack all the plants. There are specific diseases, specific insects that attack specific crops. And these attack crops at a specific time as well. It's not that round the clock these will do it. If we know down all these things, we can just foresee what are the possibilities, what possible diseases can attack my plants, what possible insects can attack my plants, and then we can prepare ourselves accordingly. In the present time of COVID, what are we doing? This small little virus has created hell out of it. Entire world is, worried, not finding any cure about it. And what all we are doing right now to take care of these things? Preventions, using a mask, using a sanitizer, social distancing, lockdowns and other things. These are all preventive measures, because we have identified the virus, we have identified how it can attack, and then accordingly, we have started those measures that can prevent it. It's not a cure. And this is what a greenhouse operator or a hydroponic operator is supposed to know, supposed to do in his greenhouse. COVID, once again, let me quote the COVID. COVID has created an havoc, I can understand. But gentlemen, let me tell you, plant viruses are so common that every day, any day, these can get into your greenhouse. Be ready. We have been facing plant viruses for the last so many years. And these aren't curable. Even in the plant science, these are not practically curable. Only and only preventive measures can be taken. And that is what I'm trying to tell you, that how you can develop that art of preventing or diagnosing these things at a stage when it's possible to cure these. So after this, another list. Let's keep on adding. You may add of your own. Nothing to worry. I'm telling you, this is not anything I have written or my research. No, not at all. This is my way of doing it. You can have a better way, but at least if you follow these things, you can create a good base. After you know the crop, you know the disease, you know the probable pest, then what next is that what preventive measures should I take to avoid it? Make a note. What are the basic factors responsible for the disease? How it comes? Social distancing, COVID, social distancing it can come by shaking hands, so don't shake hands. Same way, you need to know the factors that are responsible for this disease spread. And then comes another thing that you should make a note is whether these factors are environmental or otherwise. There are certain things that come because of the environment. And if you find those things, you need to take care of your environment. And there are certain things that come because from outside, because of poor sanitation. If you find those things happening in your farm, you need to improve on the sanitation part of it. Then comes, what are the early symptoms of these insects and pests? I'm deliberately telling you these things in detail because trust me, these things will take time, and unless you follow the method, it will not. You will not learn it. You will not learn it. You need. That's why I'm giving sufficient time to these 4-5 slides about this 5th hydroponics, this horticultural skill. So, what are the early symptoms? If you catch these early, you can cure them early. You can prevent them early. If you cannot see them early, if you cannot catch them early, you cannot, when they are in later stage, you just cannot take care of these things. So where to look for symptoms? And third thing is, if you intend to control these, chemically, are these chemicals in my stock? It should not happen that there is a disease or there is a pest in your greenhouse or in your hydroponic setups, and once you see it and then you rush to the market for the chemical, it's not available. Then 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, game over. It cannot help you. So make the list prior. You must have prior information about all these things, and best way of doing is put it in black and white, make a list. Then the second step of this particular methodology is how to look towards your plant. It's an art. How, once you enter into your setup, whether it's a greenhouse, hydroponic setup, when you enter, when you walk inside, along with walking, you need to wash things. It's not simple walking, going from one end to another end and coming back happily. No, not at all. That's not the way. You are supposed to look towards your plant. You are supposed to look towards your plant in a way so that you can find if these have any problems. So right now you see a plant, you see the image of a plant on the screen and it's marked from 1 to 11. Now what does it mean? Number 1, check new growth. Remember these new growth points. These are very juicy, tender. So most of the insects or diseases find this place very safe, and since they can chew it easily, they attack this part of the plant. So whenever you are entering into the greenhouse, make sure if you make 10 sample plants, randomly take 10 in different points inside the greenhouse, then you keep on checking these for, check their top rows, check the stem, what's happening on the stem, check the inside of flowers, very important. If you are growing a flowering crop, remember these insects, this becomes a breeding place for most of the insects because it's a very safe place for them to be. So check inside the flowers. From outside, things may look very simple to you, very clean, neat and clean, but it's your duty to check inside. because inside there is a possibility that very small larvae or very small babies of insects are there. And once they develop and spread, then God help. Check new fruits. The way these insects and diseases attack the fresh growth, same way these attack the new fruits. So you must check these as well. Then the fifth one, check pruning wounds. Check upper side of leaves. Check underside of leaves. Check older leaves. Now what is this pruning wounds? All those people who are right now with me, and out of these, whosoever has some experience about the job, about the activity, they know that most of the crops need pruning. We need to remove those plant parts that are not needed. So once you prune your plants, what are you practically doing? You are actually giving a wound to your plant. And these wounds, unless these heal, are vulnerable points for any disease or any pest to occur. So check these wounds regularly till these heal. Then check the upper side of the leaves. What happens? A lot of insects have habit of sting on the upper side of leaves. So check the upper side, because same way there are certain insects that have the habit of sting on the lower side of the leaves. So you need to check the leaf both sides, up, down, and check older leaves. COVID. Most vulnerable, babies and older people. Same way, plants, most vulnerable, top growth, fresh growth, or the older leaves. Because older leaves lose their immunity the way we lose. And top growth has less immunity the way human beings have. So these points become vulnerable. These become the breeding grounds for any disease or any insect to act. Then comes check substrate. By substrate, I mean check the growing media. There's every possibility something is breeding under the roots. Check this area. Then comes the check the bottom of the stem. Here I would like to tell you something very typical. Most of the crops that are grown in hydroponic or inside the greenhouses, the bottom part of the plant is prone to so many diseases. And most common is stem rot. This you will find very commonly happening over there. So keep an eye on, you will have to keep an eye. If you don't keep an eye, then one day you will realize plant is gone. And then you will start asking what has happened to this plant. But if you are a sharp eye and you are following the methodology, there is every possibility you will detect or diagnose these things at a very early stage, and then cure is possible. So check your growing media, check your bottom stem, check your roots. Then through this slide, I would like to tell you or make you learn something very, very important. Practically, this will summarize what I have told you in other slides, in the previous slides. See, you see an image of an insect. This is an aphid. Now its favorite locations are new growth, young stems, and under fruit axils. These 3 points in a plant, aphid can only be there. So if you know your crop, if you know the possible insects or possible diseases, you can check for this particular insect at these particular places. It will be very easy to catch it. Otherwise, if you randomly do it without any proper working, without any proper preparations, you may land up with absolutely a wrong diagnosis. Now, this is the fourth horticultural skill, identification of pests and diseases. May take some time, but if you follow the methodology, you will sharpen this skill shortly. 1. 2 is you will develop the capacity of communicating right things with your experts. See, it's not possible for every farm to have an agronomist there 24/7. It's not possible. It may not be affordable also. But it's very important when you see something happening in your farm, you should be in a position to communicate with your agronomist what exactly is happening. And if you follow the methodology, when you will communicate things to your expert, both of you will be on the same platform. Otherwise, you will see something, you will communicate something, he will derive something, and then he will recommend you something, and that something is ultimately nothing. It's not going to work at all. Now, the fifth horticultural skill, that is crop culture. Now, what does crop culture mean? Let me tell you one thing. I have come across so many people, I mean thousands of the people who approach me for hydroponics. They tell me that we want to grow this plant, we want to grow this plant. And I can assure you, they have never seen that plant. Just 3 months back, I got an inquiry from a very big business house. And they asked me, we want to go, we have a very big project in mind. We want to grow these plants. They have sent me a list. One of the plants was Citrus Devdara. This is Devdar plant, a tree. It takes 100 years to mature. It is grown above the 3,000 feet altitude. And this corporate house wanted to cultivate in an NFT cup inside the greenhouse. That is the state of affairs. Somebody telling me, I want to grow mangoes in NFT. Somebody telling me, asking me, I want to grow grapes in NFT. You can dream of anything. But at least firstly look to the image. How does this plant look? How does it behave? And then try to find out, does it fix or fit the frame? No. If it doesn't, then why should we waste our energy on this thing? See, everything cannot be grown in hydroponics. That's not possible. This is only specific crops. So when you know your crop, you know what diseases and other things. And along with that, you should know the crop culture. What does that mean? How the seeds are sown, how the transplantation is done, what should be the plant density, what should be the crop support. Then does I need to train these plants? Now imagine a situation. Somebody wants to grow lettuce. This plant does not need any training, fine. But same fellow, if he wants to grow capsicum, the training is needed, the pruning is needed. And he is supposed to know it. I have come across so many people who go for such things, who go for the cultivation without knowing how the plant behaves. Avoid that. Know your plant before you plant it. That should be the motto. So my dear friends, entire history, geography, everything about a plant is that you intend to cultivate, you should know about the plant. In simple terms, I'm telling you. Deleafing, truss pruning, area leafing, there are so many factors that contribute to this crop culture. Try to know everything about your crop that you intend to grow. And when to harvest, yes. A lot of people I have seen, they don't know when to harvest the crop. They will either over-harvest it, they will either under-harvest it. You need to know all these things beforehand. Then only you should go for the project. You should go for the actual implementation of the project. Before that, you need to know the entire crop culture so that you can plan things accordingly. So this is the fifth horticultural skill. These are 5 horticultural skills, and with full authority and full conviction, I'm telling you, if you master these 5, 70% of the job is done. And this job is to be done by you. No equipment is going to do it for you. No automation is going to do it for you. Had that been possible till date, then most of the companies who are into the manufacturing of insecticides or pesticides must have closed their shutters. They're growing. Their business is growing because these things cannot be controlled with the help of an equipment. And all those people who think by putting a glass house or by putting a good equipment means pest-free food, means pesticide-free food, it's not possible. Just register this thing in your mind. Now, what is the takeaway? You have seen all these slides. Now, what does it take? Let me tell you, develop the basic knowledge of greenhouse environment control, first take. Second, know the basics of plant physiology. Third, water quality and how to arrive at it. I have given you the shortcut. Then the basics about the crop culture. If you're through with these four, I can tell you that your job will be done very, very successfully. And what you should do now, there are other things also from the other takes. For healthy growth of plants, keep it in your minds. Plant needs carbon dioxide, it needs light, it needs water, it needs nutrients. Everybody knows it. Yeah, I know. The 1,200 people who have registered for the webinar, I know most of them know it. But the basic fact they don't know it, that if you give less of light to your plants, rest all three factors are null and void. This will not work. You have to provide all these things to the optimum level to the plant for its healthy growth. Most of the hydroponic growers, when they go for a system type of things, of cultivation, when they go for indoor farms, they hardly bother about the light. You make you best of the nutrients, you make you best of carbon dioxide or whatever it is to the plant. But if light is not there, it's zero. Law of limiting factors. Sorry to quote little of Newton's science over here, but very important with due respect to Newton, let him rest in peace. The law of limiting factors works here, and that is, if you are deficient on one factor, the rest three factors will automatically get deficient. You have to be optimum on all the four factors. Then what is the next takeaway? Plant, at least for hydroponic people, let me tell you, remember plants, parts, at least you must remember, plants have two main parts. The upper part, commonly known as the aerial part, and lower part, that is the roots. And to add and to register in your mind that aerial part needs carbon dioxide to breathe and roots need oxygen to breathe. These are the takes from this slide. And let me tell you one thing, another thing, add something over here. Let you go today with a homework. From these slides, take 5 questions. And without consulting anyone, without taking help from the internet or any book, try to write the answers. Let the question be, how does plants grow? What is plant transpiration? What is plant respiration? What is plant photosynthesis? You write the answers. Whatever you know, A, B, C, whatever you know, you write the answers. Then once you're through with writing the answers, take the book and match your answers with the actual. If these match exactly, I can assure you, you are landing into that category of people wherein you see the success happening. If there are gaps between the two, and if you go ahead without filling these gaps, wider the gap, you will end up in the third category. Smaller the gaps, you may end up in the second category. So it is these skills which you need to improve, and it's purely and purely because of these skills. If you want to be in that category of successful people, you have to master the art. Equipment comes later.
Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and subscribe the YouTube channel of Agriplast Tech India Private Limited and press the bell icon to get notification when we upload a new video.